fellow mourners. I was not to make a tribute today, but I've decided to stand up and fill the void. My name's Francis Odawa. I belong to the same professional line as the late Dr. Job Obwaka. Besides that, we come from the same geographical locality. When you stand at Dr. Obwaka's home, look yonder the river, our home is on the other side. In fact, many fellows from my village went to school next to where his home is, walking a few kilometers to seek their education. Today, I'll not talk so much about Dr. Obwaka, but he's somebody I have great respect for. He's somebody I've emulated in many ways. We have had personal interactions, professionally and even at family level. For today, I just want to talk about the latest few moments that I shared with Dr. Obwaka. You are all privy to what happened around the Nairobi hospital issues. I learned of his incarceration over the weekend when there were frantic efforts to have him released. I was not able to get hold of anybody in the family to get to understand what was going on. But the day he was released, I made a phone call to Chris, who did not pick. Then I made a phone call to Dr. Obwaka himself, who also did not pick. That was some late hours, early evening. But shortly after midnight, when I was on my dinner table, I usually have my midnight ugali due to the nature of my work. He called me back, and we exchanged niceties, talked about many things, and I was convinced this was mistaken identity. My parting words to him were, somebody owes you an apology. Thereafter, we interacted on many occasions. Of course, many a times I even covered him for his patients. But the week he died on Wednesday, prior to his death on Friday, at about 1:30 p.m., I and him met at one of the hospitals where we admitted. We had gone to review our patients. And as usual, he called me Jadaot. Jadaot means a son of the house. By the way, I didn't mention, Dr. Obwaka's mother came from my clan, Kagere. You remember Umira Kagere? That's where his mother came from. So he called me Jadaot, and we embraced as usual. We hugged. And then I again reminded him that somebody owed him an apology. That Wednesday, prior to his death on Friday, he went, sat down, wrote his clinical notes on a desk adjacent to the sister's desk, as I stood on the sister's desk doing my notes. And so come Friday, this was a shocker to me, because his cardiologist, Dr. Martin Onyoike, was taking care of some of my patients. One had presented at the Nairobi Hospital casualty with chest issues, which I didn't think were in my line, and I asked him on board. And I forgot about the patient. Later, I went to the same institution where we met on Wednesday, that evening on Friday, to review some of my patients. And one of them needed a cardiological review. I again looked for Dr. Martin Wanyoike, and I called him. For once, Martin did not pick, which was unusual. So I looked for alternatives who were not forthcoming. I started driving home. Then I remembered my patient that I had referred earlier on. This was about 8 o'clock, going 8:15. And then I called the husband. And the husband tells me, I asked him, where are you guys? He told me, no, we've just been set free now. My wife has been diagnosed with ABC. We've been given treatment. We are going home. 15 minutes prior to that. So I drove home. And before I entered my gate, I get a phone call from an acquaintance who tells me that, you know what? I'm reading in Mutandao that Dr. Obwaka is dead. Then I asked him, which Dr. Obwaka are you talking about? Then he says, Obwaka Job. And I said, how can that be? I was with Dr. Obwaka on Wednesday. That cannot be. So I rushed into my house, asked my last daughter to put on the TV so that I could watch and see if there was any such news. But before I could start watching the news, Martin calls me, Martin Wanyoike. And I tell Martin, this is unusual. Today you've not been faithful to your phone. And then Martin retorts to the effect that, you know what? No, it's this Obwaka issue. Then I ask him, Martin, what is it about Obwaka? Then he says, Dr. Obwaka has just been brought into the Nairobi hospital casualty and pronounced dead. And I couldn't just believe that. Now, thereafter, I've been to the same institutions where we work with Dr. Obwaka. The first of them being MP Shah, where he had some of his last operations on the Monday prior to his death. And what information did I get? That was last week on Tuesday. That Monday, Dr. Obwaka poured it out all to the nurses that he was working with as he was doing the surgery. He told them his life history, how he grew up in Ziwani, etc., and how he still maintains and services that house to assist his fellow villagers who come to Nairobi seeking for employment before they can be settled. That's what he told them. And at the end of the day, he told them, maybe very soon you may not keep seeing me here, you'll be seeing Chris. That I was told yesterday. Yesterday, Chris, you don't know about this. I was told that yesterday. I was in the same theater. That was at MP Shah. You may be seeing Chris. Those were his words. And when I was operating at Nairobi Hospital last week, the nurses there said, we have never known a bubbly surgeon, male surgeon like Dr. Obwaka. Those were their words. For me, yes, a great mentor, great character, emulable, and we shall miss him. I'm coming home. I have 2 rams for Dr. Obwaka, for your best guests, which will be delivered by tomorrow. Fare thee well, fare thee well, my dear mentor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daktari. I'd like to invite Dr. Gikonyo to say something before Dr. Mwongera and then Dr. Waihenya.
Oh, Michael hadn't seen you. I was actually starting to resent you. Therefore, I will not speak. I'll just say that we are sad to lose Job. I think the man who knows Job best is Michael Waihenya. And by extension, me, because Michael Waihenya is my cousin. So I know him through him. Hi, cousin. Job was the most hilarious man in our class. Always laughing. I've never seen Job actually sad, except the time he was put in all these problems. And they took away his smile. And my smile also is a bit, I've just come from court to represent Gachagua. And I thought about Job, but anyway, that's another story. We are here, and Waihenya will talk about our classmates of class of 75. I will not speak anymore since you have come. Thank you. Sorry, I should have introduced the class of 76, Dr. Mwongera, who is my good friend and a good golfer, not like me. Welcome, Mwongera.
Thank you very much, Dan. Dan was in the same class with my friend Job Obwaka. My name is Dr. Frank Mwongera. I'm a physician and nephrologist. Nephrologist means kidney stuff. But I stand here because of a friend I knew 58 years ago. 58 at Alliance High School. You'll allow me, I will first of all read something that we have written down because Job Obwaka represented a team of doctors who have been involved in a good fight, in a clean fight, to save that institution. I'm sure everybody here knows about that. I don't need to go that. But Job Lukuru Obwaka was our general. Excuse me. Family, colleagues, mourners, I greet you in the name of grief and in the name of love. I stand before you as a nephrologist, not even as a colleague, but as a brother who had just lost a brother of 58 years. There's an old African saying, when an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. Today, our library is scattered to the winds. Job Obwaka was an entire archive of our generation's hopes, our medicine's history, and our nation's conscience. From Alliance to Nairobi. I first met Job in our boyhood at Alliance High School, barefoot in dreams, but giant in ambition. From those corridors, we walked together into the medical school of the University of Nairobi, into the wars, and in time, into the Nairobi hospital itself, 58 years of shared road. Giver of life. Dr. Job Obwaka was one of the Kenyans' most celebrated gynecologists and obstetricians, as we have heard. In Kisii, as a district medical officer of health, he was a father to a community. Mothers came in their hour of fear and left with life in their arms. There, a small boy who passed his office each morning and looked up at the man in the white coat, a seed was planted. That boy grew and became somebody I'm going to refer to as Dr. Barclay Onyambu. Dr. Barclay Onyambu is currently the chair of the Nairobi Hospital Board of Directors. I will not call it Board of Governors, or Board of Management. And Dr. Barclay Onyambu, the relationship with Dr. Obwaka dates that far. When he was a young boy walking on his bare feet to school, he looked upon our colleague, and later on they became colleagues in the same department. As an obstetrician, Job ushered countless Kenyans into this world. As a gynecologist, he saved as many mothers as he delivered babies. The cruel irony. And yet, here is the bitterest verse. Dr. Job Obwaka was pronounced dead on arrival at the Nairobi hospital, the very institution where he saved lives, brought lives, and fought for the dignity of medicine. The same gates he walked through with his white coat of healing, he was wheeled through with a white sheet of death. Job did not die quietly. He died wounded, not by disease, but by betrayal. In the twilight of his service, he was hounded, harassed, and humiliated. He was arrested on charges no honest tribunal would entertain. He spent 2 nights in a police cell. He was paraded before a criminal court for offenses he never committed. Meanwhile, those who were to answer to history walk free, while the institution they superintend bleeds out close to 1 million shillings on inflated legal retainers to defend the indefensible. Call for justice. We as doctors call upon the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Directorate of Criminal Investigation to drop this case against Dr. Job Obwaka with immediate effect. You cannot prosecute a dead man. Thank you. You cannot prosecute a dead man. And in truth, you ought never to have prosecuted him. Let the file be closed. Let his name be cleared. Let his grave be free of dust of false accusations. His last great battle. Even as he fought to clear his name, Job led courageously, tirelessly, a team of doctors and members of the Kenya Hospital Association to save the Nairobi Hospital from collapse. I wonder if some of those colleagues of ours are in the audience today. Please, if you can do me a favor and stand for people to see you, because Job led an army. Please do stand. Thank you very much. I would like to have introduced you, but my eyesight doesn't allow me to, to identify you from that far. I'm sorry about that. He rallied the conscience of this nation's legal community, and 12 of the Kenya's most distinguished legal minds stepped forward, pro bono, not to defend not just Job, but the very soul of the institution. And I'll mention them. I'll start by Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, Senior Counsel of Abdul Nasir Abdullahi Advocates, James Ocheng Oduo, Senior Counsel of Triple OK Law Advocates, Dr. Honorable Otiendo Omolo, Senior Counsel of Orachia and Omolo Advocates, Dr. Nelson Harvey, Senior Counsel of Harvey and Company Advocates, Dr. Charles Kanjama, Senior Counsel of Muma and Kanjama Advocates, Willis Echesa and Mila Bwire of Echesa and Bwire Advocates, Nelson Ashitiva and George Kingori of Ashitiva and Company Advocates, Terry Ocheng of Teddy and Company Advocates, Ms. Eunice Lumalas and Acheng and Kavere LEK Advocates, Benigno Aquino of Benigno Aquino Advocates, Sufrine Mayende of Sufrine and Partners Advocates. Last but not least, the Honorable Senator Okia Okoiti Omtata, Bernard Muchiri Machere, and Naomi Nyekerario. The last two in his firm were the petitioners. To these warriors of justice, do not lay down your shields now. The general has fallen, but the battle is not lost. The hospital is rescued from the grip of this loot. When the hospital, is rescued from the grip of these looters, every laurel laid upon your shoulders will also be laid upon Job's grave. Save the Nairobi hospital. In saving it, you own a job. We salute to Honorable Kia Ukoito Mstata, Bernard Mushere, and Ms. Naomi Nyekerario Misati. These two patriots who arrived at the very hour of crisis and stopped an annual general meeting crafted to consolidate the looters' grip. That is in February this year, when the so-called board of directors crafted an EGM that it took Omtata to go to court and stop. If that was not stopped, I can assure everybody in this beautiful